From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Morning Edition.
Good morning, and thanks for starting your day with us. Today is Saturday, June 14th. I'm Max Darrow. Here's a look at what's at the top of our rundown this morning. Communities across the country are preparing for what's anticipated to be a wave of large-scale demonstrations today against President Trump's policies. Organizers are calling these demonstrations No Kings. This comes on the heels of intense protests throughout the week over federal immigration raids. Governors and city officials are vowing to protect the right to protest, but also to show no tolerance for any kind of violence. Today, President Trump will attend a large military parade in Washington, D.C. to mark the U.S. Army's 250th anniversary. It also coincides with Trump's 79th birthday. Today's parade is set to step off from the Lincoln Memorial with tanks, bands, and thousands of troops. The event has drawn criticism for its price tag of up to $45 million and also for the risk that lumbering tanks could tear up city streets. Today, at least 3 people died in Israel and dozens more were wounded after Iran's retaliatory strike with drones and ballistic missiles. Israel's defense minister says that if the attacks from Iran continue, quote, Tehran will burn. This follows an Israeli assault against Iran on Friday with warplanes and with drones that were smuggled into Iran well in advance. The assault targeted Iran's nuclear facilities and also killed several generals, as well as nuclear scientists. Bringing us closer to home now, we have plenty happening all throughout the Bay Area today. First Alert meteorologist Zoe Mintz joins us live. And Zoe, it's a little bit of a change in the weather pattern today, huh?
A little bit. I mean, just the fact that we aren't dealing with as much fog early this morning. That includes here in San Francisco, although it is a little bit gloomy still behind us. We're not looking at a beautiful sunrise, but hey, you know who is? Black Mountain, which is hopefully, there we go. I'm going to show a beautiful time lapse. The colors in the sky are fiery, they're vibrant, and you notice in the Santa Clara Valley, maybe a little bit of haze, but not nearly that bubbling cloud coverage that we have been seeing over the past several days. The sun has officially risen above the horizon, but again, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're seeing it here in San Francisco, although you might notice that the fog and the cloud coverage isn't nearly as thick as what it was yesterday. This is our view from on top of Sutro Tower, where you can see a little bit above the cloud coverage. So again, it's a very thin layer of cloud coverage that's not going to stick around for much longer than early this morning. Temperatures right now, because of the lack of cloud coverage, are actually a couple of degrees cooler, especially closer to our coastal communities and those places that have been dealing with a lot thicker fog early in the morning hours. Hey, this is our current satellite. We're really not seeing all too much. Yes, a little bit of it over our South Bay communities and here in San Francisco. But again, compared to yesterday at this time, it is a lot clearer. And I'll let you know what that means for our temperatures this afternoon coming up in my full forecast. Back to you.
Thank you, Zoe. Mass demonstrations are planned today against President Donald Trump's military parade and against his overall immigration enforcement strategy. Cities from all over the country and right here at home in the Bay Area have been making their final preparations for the day. Fencing and barricades going up on city streets, business owners boarding up storefronts, and law enforcement with all hands on deck, both for the protest and also for the military parade in our nation's capital. NoKings.org has this map showing all of the places they say are planning some kind of demonstration today. If you look closely at it, you can see more than 2,000 dots in total. And as you can see on that map right there, hardly a spot, a state that is not involved. Now, this could end up being one of the largest shows of opposition to President Trump's policies since he took office for a second term. Kevin Coe gives us a look at how San Francisco is getting ready.
Some stores started protecting their windows earlier this week when anti-ICE protests turned violent in the city, resulting in dozens of arrests on back-to-back nights. But violence is something protest organizers tell us they're trying to avoid.
We're telling our attendees that, if you see any violence or any crime, keep moving, move away from it. Don't let that be part of our event.
Peter Hosey is an organizer with Indivisible, which is holding more than 50 No Kings Day protests across the Bay Area. The protests are designed to counter President Trump's military parade in D.C. to mark the Army's 250th birthday. The celebration also coincides with President Trump's 79th birthday and Flag Day.
Stand up to this would-want-to-be king in the White House who is trying to have a military parade on his birthday. We're here to say, no, America is a democracy. This is Flag Day, so we're going to have lots of flags. and we're going to celebrate our country and the democracy and the freedoms for which it stands.
Meantime, San Francisco city leaders say they're staffing up and coordinating with organizers of Saturday's protest. A march is expected to start at noon at Dolores Park and end at Civic Center Plaza. Mayor Daniel Lurie and law enforcement officials stressed they encourage people exercising their right to free speech, but laid out a zero-tolerance policy for violence.
I want to be crystal clear. If there is violence or destructive activity, law enforcement will step in. If you assault a police officer or break windows of a local business, you will be arrested.
Our vans and buses are ready to provide free ride shares straight to jail. Our jails are prepared to accept guests with no reservations. Destroying property, physically harming others, including federal authorities, are crimes, not First Amendment activities.
A similar message across the Bay in Oakland, where Chief Floyd Mitchell says his department is ready for any unrest.
We have talked about it throughout this week with everything that's going on across the nation to make sure that, one, we provide the space for peaceful protests, but we're also not going to just allow the people that want to come into our community that are not part of our community to come in and cause damage to our homes.
Hosey tells us organizers are taking their own steps to make sure their message isn't overshadowed by any bad actors.
We're going to be doing our part too. We're planning to have a safe, nonviolent event. We do have volunteers who we have trained to help keep it nonviolent, help defuse any situations involving agitators or whatnot.
And we'll have plenty of coverage throughout the day streaming on CBS News Bay Area regarding those No Kings protests. The Trump administration is now pulling back on a key part of its immigration crackdown and enforcement strategy. ICE agents now have orders to pause raids at farms, restaurants, and hotels. A top ICE official sent the message Thursday right after President Trump admitted the crackdown was hurting businesses that have historically heavily relied on migrant workers. The shift, according to reporting from the New York Times, suggests the Trump administration does not want to alienate constituencies that he has relied on. The change follows protests in cities like Los Angeles and signals a major policy shift. The National Guard troops that were deployed to Los Angeles, along with a Marine battalion, are going to be staying there for the time being. Late on Thursday, a federal appeals court paused an earlier decision by a U.S. district judge that declared that President Trump unlawfully federalized the National Guard. In a Truth Social post, Trump thanked the appeals court and claimed that if he did not send in the Guard, L.A. would, quote, be burning to the ground. We saved L.A. This, despite persistent objections from California Governor Gavin Newsom. Listen.
The police do policing. Military, it's for the battlefield.
As the battle in the courts continues, of course, so do the protests. L.A. Mayor Karen Bass says the nighttime curfew in place in Los Angeles will likely remain so for at least a few more days. This morning, we're also following up on the fallout from the moment that California Senator Alex Padilla found himself shoved out of a Homeland Security press briefing and pushed to the ground and handcuffed by federal officers.
That you're rotating on the ground. Hands behind your back. Hands behind your back. If you let my hands go, I put them behind my back. All right.
So this moment happened on Thursday, just about 5 minutes into a speech by Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem as they discussed the military presence in Los Angeles. A Homeland Security spokesperson says the Secret Service thought Padilla might be an attacker. Senator Padilla says he was trying to ask a question about the immigration raids.
If this is how this administration responds to a senator with a question, you can only imagine what they're doing to farm workers, to cooks, to day laborers out in the Los Angeles community and throughout California and throughout the country.
Secretary Noem said after the briefing that if Padilla had questions, he should have reached out to her office beforehand instead of just coming in unannounced.
His approach, was something that I don't think was appropriate at all. People need to identify themselves before they start lunging at people that during press conferences.
Noem said after the incident, she and Padilla traded numbers so that he could reach out to her directly with any future questions. Governor Newsom posted this message after the incident alongside a picture of Senator Padilla on the ground saying, quote, "If they can handcuff a U.S. senator for asking a question, imagine what they will do to you." We should note that Padilla was not ultimately arrested. California and the White House are also going head-to-head on another issue, the future of gas-powered cars. President Trump just signed off on a move that scraps the state's strict electric vehicle rules moving forward. Trump's order blocks California's plan to ban new gas-powered car sales by 2035. The state quickly fired back, though. Attorney General Rob Bonta announced a lawsuit before Trump even finished signing his order. California argues the move breaks the law and undermines states' rights. 10 other states joined the legal fight. Trump says the EV mandate would wreck the auto industry, but supporters of the rollback say it restores consumer choice and will save jobs.
We officially rescue the U.S. auto industry from destruction by terminating the California electric vehicle mandate once and for all. Under the previous administration, the federal government gave left-wing radicals in California dictatorial powers to control the future of the entire car industry all over the country, all over the world, actually.
Governor Newsom says Trump is destroying our clean air. He's now pushing new state rules to keep California's EV goals alive. Alrighty, let's take a look at now what's happening around the Bay this weekend and switch gears now. One of San Francisco's oldest and most beloved festivals returns to North Beach this weekend. Runs from 11 to 7 today and tomorrow on Columbus and Green Streets. It's the North Beach Festival. It spans 11 blocks this year. More than 200 vendors will be there participating. This marks the festival's 71st anniversary. In San Jose, the Dia de Portugal Festival kicks off at 10 o'clock at History San Jose. It's a day meant to celebrate Portuguese heritage and culture. There will be a parade, music, dancing, and plenty of good food there. It's hosted by the Portuguese Heritage Society of California. Gearheads, this one's for you. Race Wars roars into Sonoma Raceway today. That's at 10 o'clock in the morning. It's a full-throttle weekend, packed with drag racing, drifting, a massive car show, DJ sets, food trucks, and more. That's a lot on tap there. The action continues through tomorrow. And on the peninsula in Redwood City, the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office is hosting a fireworks buyback event this morning. That's at 10. You can turn in illegal fireworks and get paid up to $200 cash. The goal, get illegal fireworks off the streets and help make this 4th of July a little bit safer for everybody. Coming up, a San Francisco renovation project could mean the end for the large Vaillancourt Fountain on the Embarcadero. I'll tell you why some people say it needs to be saved.
When you destroy art, you deprive the audience, the public, of being challenged. Yes, this is a very challenging work of art. This is dynamic.
And we're looking at a beautiful sunrise, finally, on top of the mark. It is not covered by fog. There are vibrant colors in the sky. Open up your windows, let the first light of this Saturday in. I'll let you know how long these less foggy conditions will stick around for coming up in just a bit.
The fate of a controversial fountain in San Francisco is up in the air. Some people want to see the Vaillancourt Fountain in Embarcadero Plaza torn down. But there are other people who are looking to preserve this historic gathering place. Now, city workers have begun fencing off the fountain, citing safety concerns. Our Kenny Choi shows us how some people are rallying to save what they call the Mecca of skateboarding.
To some, it's an eyesore, concrete blocks jutting in every direction. To others, like Ted Barrow, it's a masterpiece.
This is incredible. There's no other fountain anywhere in the world that looks like this.
Barrow can't ride these days because of an injury, but speaks intimately of what he sees as an iconic landmark for the sport. Each chip on the brick plaza has a story.
All of these thousands of pockmarks come from the side of a skateboard.
The Vaillancourt Fountain has been a gathering space for activists, artists, and more at the Embarcadero Plaza since 1971. City workers began fencing off the area this week. With redevelopment plans threatening its future, advocates from preservation communities are coming together.
It's amazing that it's still here, and we want to fight to keep it here.
It'd be a shame to lose it because it's got so much history.
A new report commissioned by the city concluded the structure contains asbestos and lead, and that its crumbling condition is a public safety issue. Tamara Apperton is a spokesperson for San Francisco Recreation and Parks.
The structure is unstable, hazardous materials are present, and we just can't allow public access to a space that poses safety risks.
Designed by artist Armand Vaillancourt, the fountain was meant to challenge convention. Barrow is not just a late 40s skateboarder reminiscing and trying to hold on to the past. He also has a PhD in art history.
We as a people suffer. You know, when you destroy art, you deprive the audience, the public, of being challenged. Yes, this is a very challenging work of art. This is dynamic, it's gruff, it's unapologetic.
As city planners' eye changes to the plaza, supporters fear its days may be numbered.
As a skateboarder, you know, a big part of what I love about San Francisco will be deeply changed if this is gone.
For now, they'll keep riding and hoping this part of their history is preserved.
So the city of San Francisco is still in the design phase of the renovation project at the Embarcadero Plaza. It's expected to cost somewhere between $15 and $20 million of public funds. Zoe, when you look at that sculpture there on Embarcadero Plaza, initial thoughts here.
I mean, initial thoughts, I was like, oh, they just left some scrap pieces of something like on the side of the road. And then I like the idea. It's cool. Don't get me wrong. But if it has asbestos in it and it's falling apart, I mean, unless they can get out all of the stuff and fix it.
It's a big question mark. See, it's interesting, though. For me, growing up here, I feel like not seeing that on the Embarcadero, it would feel a little odd. It would feel like something is missing.
I agree. I understand the sentiment to it, but they need to clean it up first.
Hopefully they find a good solution that works for everybody. That would be great.
That would be
perfect
wonderful.
World. Solutions for everybody, right?
Wouldn't that be nice? Solutions for everybody. That would be great. Like Mother Nature hopefully will give us some warmer weather sometime soon, because it has been a little bit chilly here in San Francisco, and we are going to at least see a little bit less cloud coverage today. And that cloud coverage is going to continue to fizzle out if you do see any early this morning. This is our satellite imagery that I showed you earlier. And again, it's really nothing too crazy as we step out this morning. And this afternoon, the fog isn't really going to be an issue. We might see a little bit more of it sticking around places like Pacifica, but overall, low-hanging cloud coverage really not going to be there this afternoon. What we are going to be seeing, though, is more upper-level cloud coverage. The upper-level cloud coverage will be higher in the atmosphere. It's not going to bring us gloomier or foggier conditions, but it might block a little bit more of the sun this afternoon, and that might keep our temperatures this afternoon a couple of degrees below what we felt yesterday, with those stronger onshore winds continuing to gust anywhere from 20 to 30 miles an hour, upper 50s sticking around along our coastal communities, mid 60s here in San Francisco, upper 70s to low 80s inland and down into the Santa Clara Valley. I feel like I kind of sound like a broken record because we've been basically seeing these exact same temperatures all week long. And again, they're going to continue into this weekend of weather ahead of us. Not too many big changes are on the way. These temperatures have been a couple of degrees below average basically all week long, and they're going to continue to be a couple of degrees below average into this upcoming weekend, with again those onshore winds gusting from 20 to 30 miles an hour. So keep that in mind for any outdoor plans, especially here in San Francisco. We're going to likely see some of those gustiest winds. But if you want to head inland, this is where the comfortable heat will be, because the Alameda County Fair's opening weekend is this weekend, which is really, really nice, because normally when you head out to the county fair, you're dealing with the excessive heat. You're trying to find ways to beat the heat. But today, tomorrow, hey, mid to upper 70s with partly sunny skies. That's going to be a really, really nice afternoon to spend the day at the county fair, whether it's Alameda or up to Solano, or if you want to head Father's Day outdoors, you want to go throw around a football, maybe go fishing. It is going to be sunny in the afternoon, but it's still going to be a couple of degrees below average, still going to be in the low 60s here in San Francisco. So maybe you wanted to head out to the Stern Grove Festival. In Stern Grove, it's going to be even cooler because you're going to be seeing a little bit more of that cloud coverage, a little bit stronger winds. So do keep that in mind for Sunday afternoon. If you're planning on heading out to Stern Grove, you probably want to grab a jacket. But there is good news on the way for those of you who have been waiting for warmer weather. Tuesday and Wednesday, upper 80s to low 90s, returning to our forecast across our inland communities. So there is a bit of a change on the way. It's not dangerous heat. It's not record-breaking heat. But hey, upper 80s to low 90s compared to upper 70s to low 80s. We'll take a little bit of a change. Again, it's only 2 days of that warmer weather, Tuesday and into Wednesday. So let's look forward to it while we can, or enjoy the comfortable heat this weekend if you have any outdoor plans. Back to you.
Coming up, the conflict between Israel and Iran escalates as Iranian missiles hit Israeli cities after Friday's assaults by Israel was meant to target Iran's nuclear program. Plus, amid the violence, the Voice of America rushes to rehire dozens of staffers, especially those who can speak to an Iranian audience.
From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Morning Edition.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Max Darrow. This is meteorologist Zoe Mintz. And Zoe, all morning we've been looking at the beautiful sunrise. The first time, honestly, since probably a week ago.
It's been so nice. I've been filling in for Jessica all week long. And we have not seen colors in the sky.
Not a single morning.
Not a single morning have we seen colors in the sky.
But on this Saturday, we do.
Oh, on this Saturday, it's gorgeous out there. I want everybody to open up their windows, let the first light of this day in, because likely going to be some vibrant golden colors in the sky, like you can see here from on top of Black Mountain. The sun has officially risen above the horizon. Oh my goodness, look at all the reflection of the sunlight on that little layer of haze over the Santa Clara Valley. It's not that thick, bubbling cloud coverage and fog that we've been dealing with for the past couple of days. So already starting off this morning with less cloud coverage, and we could even see a little bit less of that cloud coverage here in San Francisco. Hey, is that blue skies that I see peeking out behind the clouds? That's, again, the earliest that we have seen blue skies for at least a week. That is just letting you know that we are in for a treat, although it kind of depends where you're looking. I think this is on top of Sutro Tower because it does have its head in the clouds right now, but it's right on the edge of that cloud layer. And again, we are not seeing nearly as much of it early this morning compared to yesterday morning. And we're going to continue to see that fog, the little bit of fog that we do have, lifting and fizzling now that the sun has officially risen, and we're not going to see all too much more fog into this afternoon hours, maybe over places like Pacifica, but overall a lot less fog today. But I'll let you know if upper level cloud coverage will return and what that's going to do for our temperatures coming up in my full forecast. Back to you.
Iran launched missile and drone strikes into Israel today, following Israel's attack the day before on Iran's nuclear program. The U.S. is assisting in Israel's defense, but denies any involvement in the initial attack. CBS's Bradley Blackburn is tracking the latest.
Overnight, explosions lit up the sky over Tel Aviv as Iran launched another counterattack. The Israeli military urged civilians to take shelter as they intercepted the strikes with the Iron Dome system. The U.S. is assisting in the defense, but some weapons slipped through. The IDF said dozens of people have been injured, some seriously, and there are reports of some deaths. Dozens of sites have been targeted. At daybreak, first responders assess the damage. The intensifying conflict has the world worried about an all-out war. It ignited Friday when Israel attacked Iran's nuclear sites. Iran claimed hundreds were injured and at least 78 people were killed, including some top officials. Israel's attack had been in the works for months. Israeli media reports Israel's intelligence service, the Mossad, built a drone base inside Iran for the assault. This video released by Mossad showing Israeli soldiers on Iranian soil.
I do think what they're trying to do is to further illustrate how the Iranian regime has lost control of their country.
Crowds gathered in Tehran Saturday chanting death to Israel and death to America. Iran's supreme leader has vowed revenge, while Israel's prime minister appealed to the Iranian people.
We're also clearing the path for you to achieve your objective, which is freedom.
The U.S. says it is assisting with Israel's defense, but was not involved in the attack, insisting Israel took unilateral action against Iran.
President Trump does say he knew the attack was in the works, but he had been publicly appealing that Israel hold off to let nuclear negotiations with Iran continue. The White House claims that talks scheduled for tomorrow are still on despite the conflict. The U.S. is rushing to bring back the Voice of America's Persian service amid the escalating conflict between Iran and Israel. President Trump shut down the Persian broadcasts earlier this year, but now the U.S. Agency for Global Media has recalled about 75 staffers who speak Farsi to be able to cover the crisis. VOA wants to deliver timely news to Iranian audiences as missile strikes intensify. Staff from other language services are also returning to keep the world informed as this situation unfolds. Authorities in India are investigating what went wrong after an Air India plane crashed shortly after takeoff in the city of Ahmedabad, killing at least 270 people. The Boeing 787 Dreamliner went down in a residential area and exploded upon impact. Investigators are focusing on the plane's engine, flaps, and landing gear to try to find out why it lost so much altitude so quickly. Experts say failure to extend flaps or retract landing gear could cause lift and drag problems during takeoff. The black box data and cockpit reportings will be key to solving the mystery. Only one passenger survived and dozens on the ground also were killed. President Trump just gave the green light for a major partnership between U.S. Steel and Nippon Steel, a deal he says could reshape American steel manufacturing. Trump signed an executive order clearing the way for the U.S.-Japan Steel Alliance. The companies have also struck a national security deal with the government, including a so-called golden share that gives the U.S. special control of the partnership. They've committed to investing $11 billion by 2028 to modernize and boost steel production. The deal had faced strong opposition, including from Trump himself. He changed his stance after he took office. Coming up after the break, San Francisco's annual Juneteenth festival is back today in the Fillmore district. We'll have a live conversation with an organizer who is gearing up for this celebration. Juneteenth celebrations kick off this weekend here in the Bay Area. It's an annual celebration marking the moment the last remaining slaves in the United States learned of their freedom. Events include festivals on Fillmore and Gilman Park in San Francisco. There are also festivals happening in San Jose and Berkeley. The Oakland Interfaith Gospel Choir and San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus will also hold a show at The Freight in Oakland. Today's festival in San Francisco in the Fillmore spans 8 blocks. It features live music, art exhibits, and much more. There's a kids zone and even a fashion show happening. It's all a part of a joyous commemoration marking that end of slavery in the United States back in 1865. Joining us now is Mike Brown, the marketing director for Juneteenth San Francisco. Mike, good morning. It's great to see you today.
Good morning. Great to be with you. Thank you.
So, plenty on tap today. Tell us just the quick FAQ. What is happening today in the Fillmore with this Juneteenth celebration?
You said it pretty well. 8 city blocks. And with every block, there is something new. We have multiple live acts across 3 stages. We have an awesome kids zone, even with an outdoor roller rink this year, and a health zone. And just every block you go, you're going to find something new and beautiful.
So, Mike, one of the things that is special, and we're looking at some footage right there, just showed some of last year's parade. What is it about bringing the community together for an event like this in San Francisco?
Yeah, it's very special because a lot of people don't know this, but Juneteenth Fillmore is the longest running festival in San Francisco that's still running today. Wow. And it brings together so many people from so many walks of life because the Fillmore just becomes a hub of celebration that day. And it's something that's inspiring. We see that our neighbors from all the communities in San Francisco, but also our Bay Area neighbors and beyond are coming. And these numbers are getting bigger and bigger. And we're looking towards about 20,000 people this year. 20,000 people this year in the Fillmore. That'll be a great crowd this year. So for those who don't know, why the Fillmore? Why is this happening in that particular neighborhood? Oh, wow. Good question. So, it started actually in 1945 with Wesley Johnson. Actually, we are the second longest running, and I'm pretty sure I could say this with confidence. We're the second longest running in the nation, second to Galveston, because it all started here in the Fillmore. And here we are continuing that legacy. And it's been off and on and changed in different places throughout San Francisco. But here we are at the Fillmore, and it is growing every year. So this year, there is a little bit of a special twist on it, and it really a way to honor a particular person in the community. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Yeah, I'm so glad you asked. This year is our first year without our executive director, who passed away unexpectedly late last year. And forgive me, I still get emotional talking about it. But Pia Harris was our executive director, and she was just a tireless community advocate. She also led the SFHDC, which is now our fiscal agent, and the San Francisco Housing and Development Corporation, which is an important part of what she did in terms of helping with housing, affordable housing, and just all-out outreach to the community. So this is our first year without her. She's going to be missed dearly, but we're going to do our best to carry on her legacy because it really does inspire us every time we think about it and every time we meet. I don't think that there's a conversation that goes on without her name being mentioned to this day. I also want to say something that she did open a restaurant right before she passed away, making it even more heartbreaking. And so when I say that, I want to remind people that restaurant, Mia Soul Cafe, is still open in the Fillmore, and we love to send people there to keep supporting her family and her legacy.
Mike, I know Pia will be smiling and just really appreciative of everything that you guys have done and will do this year. Finally, just quickly, people want to come out. What do they need to know? When do they have to show up?
Get there early as possible. We know the city is going to be heavily, fighting a lot of traffic. And we also have a very special proclamation going out to Dwayne Wiggins, Oakland's native son of soul, who passed away this year. And we are celebrating his life. And his daughter will make a special guest appearance to accept the proclamation by City Hall. And that's at 1 p.m. on stage 2. So we open at 11, but we need you there on your way much earlier than that to make sure you get there on time. And I don't have to tell you about parking in the city.
No, you don't. All right, Mike Brown, thank you for that. We appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely. Coming up, we will meet a Peninsula man whose police officer's son was killed in the line of duty, how he used his grief as a catalyst for good. A Peninsula man whose police officer's son was killed in the line of duty did something remarkable in his memory. He's used his grief as a catalyst for good. Sharon Chin introduces us to this week's CBS News Bay Area Icon Award winner.
When Dr. Frank Merrill looks onto an East Palo Alto field, he sees more than afternoon rugby practice.
The dream for us was to just make a difference, give these kids something that they didn't have.
That dream came out of a nightmare. Frank's stepson, East Palo Alto police officer Rich May, was shot to death by a parolee in 2006. During the trial, the defense argued the lack of positive activities contributed to the shooter's criminal history.
Should have been there.
After sentencing, Frank got to thinking about what he could do for underserved youth.
I can't solve world hunger. I can't solve world peace. I can't change families. I can't do a lot of things, but I can give them a field to play on.
So Frank and his late wife Clarice set out to build a field to create something positive and honor Rich, who is passionate about serving kids in the Police Activities League.
He was never one of those guys who was going to, try to fight the world. He was going to try to make the world a better place by being amenable to working with people.
The state-of-the-art Rich May Memorial Field opened in 2015. The Merrills and their supporters raised $2 million, mostly in private donations, and overcame years of obstacles.
When the lights came up and we turned the lights on, and that first night was the most glorious thing I've seen in years and years and years.
Today, 700 young people use the field each day. Under a unique operating agreement, the Rich May Foundation, which Frank started in 2017, manages the field that is owned by both the St. Francis of Assisi Catholic Church and Ravenswood School District. Rich May Field is also home to the East Palo Alto Razorhawks Rugby Club. The club's grateful for the affordable rental fee at $50 an hour, a fraction of the going rate. Coach Vaya Sampt says having a home base is a win for membership.
The last 3 years has doubled every year. So, now to have a field that we can call our own, it's a blessing for these kids, and we really appreciate it.
East Palo Alto Police Chief Jeff Liu, who was a good friend of Rich May, says the community also scores in crime prevention. Activities on the field create a community of good citizens.
It took a community to bring this together, and Frank was the catalyst behind that. He was the inspiration, and he was the driving force to make this happen.
They don't even realize it half the time that they're learning, good behavior, and it's good.
It's just a remarkable thing that needs to be celebrated. Frank needs to be celebrated.
So for building Rich May Memorial Field to foster healthy recreational opportunities, this week's CBS News Bay Area Icon Award goes to Dr. Frank Merrill.
Frank, a retired veterinarian, also volunteers helping the unhoused with free vet care through Project Street Vet in San Diego. Meantime, Frank and the Rich May Foundation are trying to raise $1 million to replace the turf on the field. And remember, you can nominate a local hero for a CBS News Bay Area Icon Award at kpix.com/icon. First Alert meteorologist Zoe Mintz joins us now on this Saturday morning. And Zoe, I just can't get over that sunrise. You showed it at 6:30, right at the top of the half hour, and it was this beautiful glowing start to the morning.
It was amazing. That was on top of Black Mountain where it was vibrant.
Sometimes the sun just hits the clouds at this beautiful way and it makes it like sparkle.
I love it. And that's why I love California. I feel like the sunrise and the sunsets are even more vibrant than most places in the United States. Although here in San Francisco, it's still a little bit foggy. You can see behind me the Bay Bridge. It's not being lit up by some beautiful sunshine, but that doesn't mean you're not going to see it earlier than what you have over the past several days, because there's actually high pressure that's continuing to build overhead. And you notice along our coastal communities, not nearly as much fog as we've been waking up to, as again, high pressure continues to swirl, creating what's known as a heat dome. And as many of you know, a heat dome creating some excessive heat down across Southern California over into Nevada and Arizona. And that's why we are very lucky to live here in the Bay Area, because we're dealing with the onshore flow, and that's keeping us a lot more comfortable into this afternoon and into this morning, honestly. We're not dealing with nearly as much of that activity. We're not dealing with nearly as much of that fog or of that cloud coverage. And you can see just a little bit of it hanging over maybe places like Pacifica and Half Moon Bay. But again, compared to the past several days, it is significantly quieter, significantly calmer. And it's not going to take long for the little bit of fog that we do see early this morning to finally begin to lift. I mean, just look at our forecast visibility. We are expecting by, I would say, about 8, 9 o'clock, most of us to see that top level, that 12.4, with none of that fog sticking around basically anywhere besides Pacifica. That will probably be the one place that might see a little bit more of that fog. But even them by the afternoon is going to be seeing a lot more sunshine than they have over the past several days before the fog once again fills in overnight tonight. But it's, again, not going to be nearly as thick this weekend compared to what we have been seeing for the past several days. We've been basically waking up each and every morning with thick fog with a little bit of mist, but today, none of that mist, none of that thick moisture, but we are going to continue to see that onshore flow. That's going to keep our temperatures very similar to what we've been seeing basically all week long. Upper 50s along our coastal communities, upper 70s to low 80s farther inland and down into the Santa Clara Valley. So it doesn't take long to enjoy some warmer weather or to get out of the heat and enjoy some upper 50s along our coastal communities. Again, it really just kind of depends on where you're located, but just in general, it's that very similar weather pattern that we have been seeing. Temperatures a degree or two below average for this time of year, but again, basically the same that we've been seeing every single day of this past week. And those same winds again coming in from that onshore direction, gusting up to 20 to 30 miles an hour and keeping those temperatures nice and seasonable, if not below average, which is perfect if you do plan on heading out to any of the county fairs. It's the opening weekend of the Alameda County Fair, and normally it is so hot this time of year that it's not comfortable to spend the day outdoors. But honestly, this weekend, it's going to be a great weekend to spend outdoors for whatever county fairs you may be heading out to for Father's Day, inland areas. It's going to be the comfortable heat before warming up Tuesday and Wednesday of next week, getting back into the upper 80s to low 90s. A little bit of a heat up is on the way, not record breaking, not dangerous, but at least a pattern change is coming. Back to you. And we're going to continue to see those very seasonable conditions all weekend long and into early next week. But there is a bit of a heat up on the way. Tuesday and Wednesday, upper 80s to low 90s returning to our inland communities, along with plenty of sunshine. And even areas around our coastal communities are going to be in the mid 60s with sunnier skies returning. Overall, there is 2 days of warmth on the way. Up until then, though, it's going to be those very similar conditions that we've been seeing basically all week. It's going to continue through at least Monday.
All righty. Thank you for that, Zoe. We've got to head across the pond for this last one. King Charles just handed out some honors, and these recipients have some star power.
Oh, yeah. From the soccer field to the big screen to the concert stage, here is who made the list. Sir David Beckham, Sir Gary Oldman, and Sir Roger Daltrey. That's the headline out of the UK, where the King's birthday honors just handed out knighthoods to the A-list trio.
Beckham got his for sports and charity work, Oldman for his legendary acting career, and Daltrey for his decades of music and fundraising. 3 icons, 3 swords tapped on shoulders, and maybe a little bit of tea to celebrate.
You think that's how they celebrate? I have no idea.
I would love to be there for a celebration of knighthood. Wouldn't that be fantastic?
That would be fantastic. And imagine getting the call and being like, hey, you're going to be knighted this weekend.
Out of all the calls that David Beckham, Roger Daltrey, and Gary Oldman have received in their life. Where do you think this ranks?
I would say probably pretty high. David Beckham is probably going to be like some soccer call first, and then maybe the second. But honestly, for somebody like David Beckham, he is British, right? I think so. So this would be one of the biggest honors ever for him.
Incredible honor. And it's one of those things where people around the world can appreciate this honor. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
For Gary Oldman, though, I think probably playing Sirius Black in Harry Potter, maybe a little bit hot. I'm just kidding.
I don't know. I would agree with that. I love Harry Potter. Top favorite movies ever. I mean, they're all amazing, but good for them.
Absolutely. This is the view from Black Mountain, I believe. Looking off in Santa Clara Valley, a little bit of haze, but we've got more weather to talk about in our Saturday showcase. Stay with us.